Hello everybody, welcome back to Ketchup Court. I go by the name of Heinz, your friendly neighborhood ketchup man, and thank you so much for tuning in for another recap. We have been covering this trial, the Christopher Wolfenbarger trial, who is accused of murdering and well, the official charges is basically murder and felony murder. So the dismemberment, as we went through on day one, isn't what I believe is to be charged, but maybe it could be added on. Don't know. But essentially, he has been charged for the killing of his wife, of his former wife, I should say, Melissa Wolfenbarger. And essentially, we are going to be going through the day 2 recap because we are now into the second day of the recap. So for this video, we are going to be before we go into the witness testimonies and analyzing them and going through what I believe was the key testimonies from today to help you catch up and be up to speed. We shall be recapping day 1, a quick recap, not too long. We shall also I also made some errors or read out an article which I found to be a bit that contained a bit of errors, but I have come across the documents. Thank you, with a lot of thanks to Apply Angry Lawyer, who has made the documents available. So I'm going to be going through all of that and amending that record, amending all of the errors that I made on the stream on day 1. And also after all of that, I'm going to give my thoughts on how the trial is going so far and what day 2 is kind of showing us where this trial is heading. So stick around, make sure that you hit that like button, share button as well. Let people know that we 100% exist and we do catch-ups and recaps over here. And also get active in the chat. I really love it when you guys offer your perspectives and let me know how you are feeling. It really does broaden my understanding as well. And also replay crew, leave a comment, let me know how you're feeling. Don't forget to hit that like button, and also don't forget to subscribe so that you can be notified whenever we go live. But most importantly, check out the descriptions. That's where I'll leave the documents for this trial, and also that's where you can find previous recaps so that you can be up to speed with the case. So let's go into a quick recap of this case. We went through day 1 and we gave the state's theory of the case. Well, we presented the opening arguments and the state theory of the case. On day 1, I was basically highlighting that the defense are theorizing that there is a third party out there that could have committed this murder, but for some reason the prosecutors only zeroed in on their client. They are also theorizing that the family is a very dangerous family, and they had people that could have wanted Melissa dead. That they also were highlighting that there's not enough evidence to convict Christopher, and they were also highlighting that Christopher literally just assumed that Melissa had gone on and moved on with her life and didn't think anything more, and that's why he never contacted her or had anything to do with her. So all of this was to basically theorize that there is no way to tie him to the crime because he wasn't the last one to basically see her. But the state are saying that based on Christopher's history of domestic violence with Melissa, based on the court hearing that they had and the previous instances of abuse, it is the reason why Melissa was found dead, because she had moved on to a new relationship, etc. So the one thing that I thought that I even mentioned from day 1 is the fact that they don't have, or they never theorized the possibility how exactly Melissa was killed, or they never theorized how he may have done it. But it's just the opening statements. They may be presenting this theory a lot more cohesively when the trial has ended. They might be presenting that theory in closing arguments. But that's just that's the quick recap. And on day one they presented witnesses, just really technical witnesses to begin with. You had the witness that basically found the victim's remains, that pretty much sparked all of this. He went by the name of Josh McKirkin. I think I butchered his name, but he was the one that found the head and reported it to the police by calling 911. And then the second witness was Del Kelly, who was the retired police officer. A lot happened in his testimony. We went through that yesterday, where he basically was saying that there was VHS recording of a dog pulling out a bag and finding more bodies in there, and there were so many things that was just not in evidence. And he was even saying that his reports were missing files. So therefore, like that he doesn't know, that he knows it happened, but there's no way for him to basically verify. And it became, the defense made a Brady argument based on this, basically saying that they were not informed about this missing files, etc. But the judge just told them to remedy it in cross-examination. Witness 3 that came up was Tina Miller, and she was the missing persons that found the rest of the bodies on June 3rd, I believe, and April 29th. She was part of those investigative team that found the rest of the leg. The head was found and then the leg was found. So that was essentially how they recovered the remains of Melissa. Then we heard from Melissa's sister, who was Tina Patton, and weirdly enough, I felt like her testimony was more beneficial for the defense, simply because of the cross-examination. They really played on her memory, and to be quite fair, that's what the defense has been doing a lot so far. They've been playing on people's memory, just because of the age of this case. All of these events happened in 1998, 1999. So a lot of people are going to have problems remembering things. This is why I said on day one, they had a mountain to climb. They being the prosecution, they had a mountain to climb just based on advancement of technology and people's memories, But it was really apparent when Tina went on the stand, because the defense just played statements, showed reports that she was making to the police about what Melissa had supposedly told her about Chris and the violence about Chris, and it was inconsistent to what she's saying now, which sounded like she was more terrified and didn't want to share information. But she said at the time in 1999 that Melissa was actually telling them outright that Chris was basically violent to her. So that's that was the witnesses for day one. Now let's move on to today's witnesses, because today it didn't get any better. If you literally thought that day one provided shocks, provided a lot of drama, a lot of surprises, today was no different, in my opinion. So many things stuck out to me. Happy Friday to you too, Lexi. I see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. So today was no different. in fact, I think today was a lot worse for the prosecution, and I'm going to go through every reason why I believe that the prosecution really have almost an unwinnable case. And I'm even left wondering how this even made it this far, really and truly, based on what I've seen so far. But it's only day 2. My mind is always open. I always keep my mind open for in cases like this, because I just don't know how things are gonna play out. So, but today's testimony, well, sorry, not today's today's testimonies just really opened my eyes. Anyway, Ronald Bruck and Cynthia Bruck, who were Chris's former employers, came in and gave testimony in regards to Chris working there. And it was then we heard from Dorothy Cooley, who was the neighbor. She basically testified to experiencing some of the DV that was going on, overhearing things, etc. Then we heard from Marlon Sutton, who was the arresting officer. Not arresting officer. My bad. Not arresting officer. A respondent of the DV call that she made. Not arresting officer. My bad. But yeah, hello Trial Channel. Welcome back. I was really hoping that you cover this case because your channel is literally perfect for getting individual testimonies, something that you don't get on other channels as far as I've seen anyway. Everyone, I'm gonna leave the link to the Trial Channels in the description, where you can find other cases, because I was really hoping that she would do this case, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. But you can find the Nicholas Cassotis case on our channel. We covered that here, and that was explosive. I have an announcement in regards to that coming up later. But yeah, so let me continue on with today's witnesses. Then we have Detective Stephen Hare, who was the arresting officer of Christopher Wolfenbarger, and then Norma Patton, who was Melissa's mother. She came in to testify. So yeah, so those are the witnesses. For Ronald Bruck, let me just switch over so that you guys can see. For Ronald Bruck, he was giving testimony in regards to Chris working at his business. It was called Action Glass, and this was located in Avon Avenue. It's really important, that location, because that's where Melissa's body was found. That's where, so not body, the head. That's where Melissa's head was found. Her remains, let me just put it like that, her remains was found near the company building. He also described the tools that they usually have. They were setting this up to basically show that Chris had actually borrowed one of the tools from the business, that he actually they actually don't have any qualms about employees borrowing their tools, and apparently he never gave it back. But again, the memories of these people is really, without any independent recollection, they would not remember most of this, but they definitely remember Chris working there. He also gave testimony that Chris only worked there for 5 to 6 months, because he quit he was fired in February 1999 because of something to do with the trucks, with the trucks. So he was fired for that. I'm glad. I hope you do. I'll be watching. If you do, I'll definitely post it on the community page so that people can go and check out the full trial. So he also gave testimony to not being sure exactly if Christopher had borrowed the tools, from the store, but he believes he may have asked. So this was where I'm gonna go to this part because this was where the audio was played to recollect his mind in regards to all of these events.
Thank you. Is that your voice?
It's a long back.
Gotcha.
From what I remember. Very hard to
Any kind of
I'm sorry, I'm very,
suspect any kind of.
I'm sorry, I'm very hard to hear.
It's okay. Did you ever suspect Chris of stealing a saw?
He asked to borrow it, from what I remember,
But we never got it back.
but we never got it back.
Gotcha. And that was like a, what type of saw was that?
It's like we either had Milwaukee sawzalls or DeWalt or something like that.
It's
Just
a long handle thing and then a blade.
Gotcha.
We
Okay.
had Lex one day and we had these other batteries, so.
So after he was terminated, he never brought the saw back.
Thank you. Is that your voice?
Well, every time I hear my voice, but that's it, I guess.
Okay, I understand. I get it. But listening to that, do you hear when your wife tells the officer he borrowed the saw and then you describe the type of saw that it was?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, so that's so at the time there was recording, and he definitely borrowed the saw. There was testimony that he never returned the saw that he borrowed. The defense didn't really do much with this except basically ask the question whether anyone would have access to the place if the store was closed. I'm guessing he's trying to basically say that because he borrowed the saw, he probably couldn't return to the establishment to give it back because the place was closed, or he may have gone to try to give the saw back, but no one would have been there. And because he was fired, he probably forgot. So many things could have happened, but they also highlighted that the saw could be found at any construction site, basically just showing reasonable doubt to basically say just because this saw was, I'm guessing they're saying this in anticipation to the testimony that these were saw cuttings that's gonna come in from the medical examiner. I'm pretty sure that testimony is gonna come in, and they're trying to get ahead of that. And by highlighting that this saw can be found from any construction site, just means that because Chris had it does not necessarily mean that that he was the one that done the dismembering. And to be quite fair, I think it's a stretch to let's just be real for a minute. Like let's put it all into context. The remains was found near the business. So what are the odds that he would borrow the saw? He would borrow the saw and then use the same saw at the place of the business to do the dismembering. Or let's say it didn't even happen at the place of the business. Why would he drop it off there? How did Melissa get there? Like, I have so many questions of trying to tie Chris to this just based on that evidence, but we shall see. But I know why the prosecution are bringing it in to basically show, most likely for the medical testimony, the medical examiner's testimony. Hello, Rufan. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you for joining. I hope you had a great day, and I hope every one of you had a good day today. Then we heard from his wife being Ronald Bruck's wife, who is Cynthia Bruck. She gave testimony that Chris was working for them for 5 months, and she said that she actually forgot what she said in regards to whether Chris borrowed a saw or not. They actually had to play her the audio again to recall a memory, and she basically said, yeah, he that's what she actually said. She also testified to not remembering much from that event. It was basically the same testimony that was given by Ronald Bruck. It was just cross corroboration to show that these two, even though it shows that that there was an event that happened that day, which was the burying of the soul. But I just think that when you hear these witnesses say, I can't remember, and they have to rely on independent sources, it could be a really hard, it could make the job of the prosecution harder if they don't have these records done in a pristine way to really help their witnesses seem reliable or seem credible. Because in all fairness, the fact that most of them do not remember anything is it just hinders their credibility a lot. So Cynthia Bruck's testimony really helped the prosecution, as well as Ronald Bruck's testimony. Then we heard from Dorothy Cooley, who was the neighbor of Chris and Melissa. I still have Nicholas Castodes in my head for some reason. I need to, in time, that will fade. That will fade. But anyway, Dorothy Cooley was basically, this was a weird way to start the cross-examination. Sorry, not cross-examination, the direct examination, because what the prosecution did was essentially begin with her first name, saying, do you know that your name was Dorothy Jones? And she basically said, no, that's not my name. And she said that her name was Dorothy Cooley, basically, that's not her name. The only reason why they did that is because she has changed her name multiple times, and she actually did tell law enforcement that her name was Dorothy Jones. That doesn't help matters, because it just shows how bad her memory is. And by them actually trying to go ahead and discredit or at least take this thing out of what the defense are going to introduce in their cross-examination, they just made their witness look unreliable at the start, because she's like, I can't even remember telling law enforcement that my name was Dorothy Jones. Like, so why would you lead with that? It's what I'm thinking. She testifies to knowing that Chris and she testified to knowing Chris when he was young, and Chris had told her that Melissa was his wife. We are gonna go through the background so that you can get the whole idea of when this relationship started, because the idea that I've been having is that they started dating probably sometime in February 1998, and it was a quick marriage. But the documents that we're gonna read is gonna give a lot more background into the relationship. She testifies to not hearing things. She testifies to not hearing things breaking, and all of those things. But she did hear her screaming. Let's just go to that testimony right now. Okay.
Both voices, 4 times.
3 or 4 times total. How often would you hear these arguments or things breaking?
This is me. Actually, I've been trying, because there was one occasion that I actually almost said Mindy. I nearly said Mindy on one of the streets. But anyway, it will come on my mind. It's still fresh in my mind.
4 times.
3 or 4 times total, 3 or 4 times a week, a day. We say 3 or 4 times.
I can't pinpoint it. 3 or 4 times a week or something like that.
Would you hear anything else besides arguments or glass breaking?
No.
Would you hear any screaming or yelling?
Just arguing and telling folks to stop doing whatever they was doing and stuff like that.
Was that a male voice or a female voice that you
It was both voices, both voices.
This is important because they're trying to set the idea. The prosecution are trying to set the idea that it didn't just this relationship at least from her perspective, who saw them from a really young age, and when they first met, that she actually did see Melissa and Chris when they first met. They're trying to set the idea that it was always they were always arguing basically, and there could have been a possibility of physical violence there, but from what I'm understanding, and based on them bringing an expert in domestic violence in, it seems like they're saying a seed for, showing that it was a gradual pattern of just arguments and then it escalates. So here she's gonna give testimony in regards to what she would see on Melissa.
It was that one time you saw her with the bruise?
Yes. I seen her like a bruise up under her eye because she had shades on. That was it.
It was that one time you saw her with the bruise?
Yes.
So
When you would hear any of the arguing or the yelling, did you ever call police?
No, ma'am.
personally, if I was the defense, I wouldn't touch the police part, and I'm glad. I just wouldn't touch the not calling the police part. But what they did on cross-examination was really, I mean, let's just go to it, because it was before we go into the cross-examination, she gave testimony into asking Chris who his wife was, and he said that she was basically leaving him. So she also saw what happened around the time of 1998, because this was 1998. I believe the testimony so far has been she left him around April or May or something like that, around the summertime. So she gave testimony in regards to Melissa leaving him.
Is there any point in time stop seeing Chris in the neighborhood? Is there any point in time where you stop seeing Chris in the neighborhood?
Yes, later on, yes.
When you say later on, what do you mean?
I stopped seeing him like 6 or 7 months after.
After what?
Oh, in the 90s, so he didn't stay over there long.
Okay. So let's talk about it. You said you first met him in the 90s.
Yes.
Is this early 90s when you first...
When I first met him, it was like 97, 98 or something like that.
When you first met Chris?
Yes.
Okay. So when do you think is the last time you met Chris?
About 99, something like that. When the last time I saw him, something like that.
99 was the last time you saw him?
Yes.
Now...
The memory already is a big issue, but this is where she...
That's the house that
this is where she gave testimony about Melissa leaving Chris.
He was sharing with his wife?
Yes.
And at this cookout, was the wife there?
I didn't see her.
And to your knowledge, had Chris built this platform in the back?
Yes.
Now, did there ever come a time where you had to clean out Chris's home?
The rent man had us to clean the house up.
And is this the same house that he shared with the wife?
Yes.
What type of things were you cleaning out of the house?
Clothes, furniture, and clothes.
If you can recall, I know it's been probably some time, were these women's clothes, men's clothes?
Men's clothes.
And as far as time frame, is this cleaning of the house before you left off of Brookline in 99?
I used to work for the man cleaning houses.
Okay.
It was Mr. Holyfield used to own the houses, and like when people move out and stuff, he was to clean his house. So I don't.
Do you remember if it was did you clean this house when you started living on Sylvan Road, or were you still living on Brookline?
I was living on Sylvan Road then when I cleaned the house.
So there was, so to give the idea, and this is what I mean by the prosecutors not having anything to, not having much to work with, because she didn't really see Melissa leave. It's just now they're trying to show that Melissa left because when she cleaned the house, her clothes were not there. I mean, it's not, I mean, you're working with minimal stuff, which is again what, like, this is not the key witness, so it's just someone that knew them. So yeah, you still gotta try and get as much as possible from her. So let's now go into the cross-examination, and it began with, they switched lawyers, by the way, during this. Oh, that will start.
You say you never used the name Dorothy Jones?
No, sir, I have.
So this was it, going back to that name thing.
Okay. Most of the events we've been talking about here are for events that occurred, and again, I know we don't know a particular starting date, but late 80s, 89 or 90, up through 99, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And is it fair to say, maybe this is, just kind of rhetorical, that
My objection is rhetorical because.
Take out the rhetorical. I want an answer.
He hasn't phrased it yet, so I can't tell him to rephrase, but go ahead.
Yeah, forget the rhetorical. If you were approached by the police in 2003, would you have been honest with them?
Would I have been honest with him?
Yeah. Would you be honest if a policeman wanted to interview you in 2003?
Yes.
Okay. Would you have told them the truth about your name?
Yes, I would have.
Okay. And if in 2003 you were interviewed by a detective were you living on Brookline in 2003?
No. I had moved from Brookline. My mom and them still stayed on Brookline. I go visit my mom and I'm on Brookline.
Well, maybe I should ask you another question. Do you know anybody by the name Dorothy Jones?
No, I do not.
That's not your mother's name?
My mama's name is Stella Shanks.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So if you were interviewed by the police in 2003, you would have been honest with them?
Yes, I would have.
You would have been honest about your name?
Yes.
And you would have been honest about not ever having talked or seen, let me take that back, not ever having that you didn't know Melissa at all, correct?
No, sir, I didn't.
Okay. And now we are 22 years later, right?
Right.
From this event in 2003 that I'm asking you about. And really we are 25 or 26 years later than any observations you had when you were at Brookline, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to say yes or no.
Yes.
When was the last time you saw the people who lived in the other half of the duplex where Chris and Melissa lived?
So what they did is essentially they went through the name change. I believe she was called Pauline at one point. It's all for a reason, but I'm going to show you the reason soon. But I really liked how he used that name change to basically say you'll be honest with the police. This is all done because she heard screaming and saw bruises on Melissa. So they have to attack her credibility. And it happened a lot. It happened a lot here. Did I go too far? I think I went too far.
Right, sometimes you'd be in
There
your
we go. I did go too far. So, I went too far and kind of, I went to the wrong timestamp and kind of give you the ending. But I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna try and bring it back to show you to basically show what they did. So, this is
Answer, okay? Thank you.
This characterization of the evidence, because he said they, and her response wasn't a they. It was she doesn't know a they.
Okay.
So
If she understands the question, she can answer it. I'm going to overrule it. Go ahead, Mr. Samuel.
Okay, so there's a duplex across the street from you,
Yes, sir.
just like your house was a duplex.
Yes, sir.
There were people living on the other side of you also, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at night, sometimes you'd be in your house and you'd hear arguing from the house across the street, correct?
Be on the front porch.
You'd be on the front porch
Yes.
and hear arguing across the street.
So the relevance of this testimony is because she said that she saw Chris, that she saw Chris and Melissa quite a number of times, going through the neighborhood. So what this testimony is trying to do is basically show that that's not true. That she actually saw them less times than that.
And it's coming from inside of a duplex.
Yes.
Okay. And in the other duplex was Troy and sometimes this woman Mary, correct?
Yes, sir.
And sometimes in the other half, the duplex was where Chris and Melissa lived, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't know Melissa very well, right?
I didn't know her at all. I just met her, just looking at,
Okay.
passing by or whatever.
Okay. So you never had a long conversation with her about
No.
anything?
No, sir.
You never met two kids, you just saw one kid?
I just seen one kid, sir.
Okay. For how many years did you see them there together?
I seen the lady and the kid 3 times, at least 3 or 4 times, sir.
Okay. How about the lady, you're talking about Melissa, right?
Yes, sir.
Without the kid, how often did you see her?
I didn't never see her without the kid.
Okay. So over the course of the entire time that you saw Melissa, there were 3 times, excuse me, can I start over? Over the course of the time that you were living there, you saw Melissa a grand total of 3 times.
3 to 4 times, sir.
Okay.
And what that does is essentially put a lot of doubt into. I mean, it's possible that you can still see someone 3 and 4 times, and still see the bruises, etc. But the fact that you hear the screaming and now attribute it to Melissa and Chris seems unlikely. So I mean, based on this cross examination, that's how I'm thinking the jury might pick it up. But this part is when it really got messy.
In fact, you've been arrested about 11 times, right?
Yes, I have, sir.
You've been arrested for aggravated assault?
Yes, I have, sir.
Been convicted of aggravated assault?
Yes, I have been, sir.
Okay. You were arrested for theft?
I don't know about no theft, sir.
Theft by receiving?
Theft by receiving, yes, I was.
You were arrested for burglary?
Not as I recall.
Okay. You were convicted of prostitution?
No, I was not, sir.
You were arrested for prostitution?
I was arrested for prostitution.
And soliciting sodomy, right?
That's what they say, sir.
And those are all proper, but
You were,
I think that's a withdrawn objection.
well, I'm going to object any further of the arrest questions as improper.
Okay.
you were, during the same period of time, 1998, you were arrested and went to jail for battery, family violence, correct?
Objection, improper questioning. Your
It's
Honor.
not impeachment. I'm trying to show she's not even there because she's getting arrested.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of leeway, Mr. Samuel.
You were arrested for battery, family violence in December of 1998, right?
But who I was arrested for family violence.
Yeah, you want to see?
Yes, I do.
I mean, it's all true. Well, let me just fast forward because she did see it. Let me just fast forward and just play it so you can get on record.
Remember that?
No, sir, I don't, but I remember getting arrested. I don't know. I didn't get arrested about no family.
You got arrested for battery.
I got arrested for battery and wasn't against none of my family.
Okay. The charge is family violence battery. I just showed it to you,
You
right?
just showed it to me, sir.
Okay.
She was jailed. Now,
And then
You did. Yeah.
after that, hindering apprehension of a criminal you were arrested for?
Objection, Your Honor. What year does it still be?
2009.
now that's when they went too far because that's too. I don't know how that's material, but this is expert cross-examination because all of this is not. It's not all of it. In all fairness, I think the jury are smart enough to just disregard all of the arrest, all those things. They're smart enough not to look at her as a criminal, that there's motive to lie or all those things just because of a criminal record. I don't think they're gonna think that, but it is very interesting that she had all those arrests, all of those, and even when went to jail at some point. It just narrows. How could you have possibly seen these guys that many times? Let's just say that the 3 times that you say that you saw was incorrect. How could you have seen them that many times if you were not even there? Like, most likely not there, because that's a lot. To be quite fair, that is a long rap sheet for the same year. So I do believe that the jury are not going to ruin her credit. Are not going to look at her because she's a criminal and she's been convicted before, arrested as well. That they're not going to look at her and just be like, everything she's saying is a lie. But this just go back. But the way that this cross-examination ended, which was basically highlighting the honesty in regards to the name to the police, because she said that she didn't give that, and they have it. They even have it on record that she spoke to the detective and the name that was given was Dorothy Owens. So it just, I gotta admit, they cooked her. This was a win for the defense. This is the defense best witness, because she just couldn't. I mean, is it enough to essentially say that she didn't see the bruise on her face? I think so. I mean, if the jury are going to look at the assault part, the aggravated assault, they might even look at it and be like, you are biased in this because you have assaulted other people. So maybe you're just gonna see, maybe the assault was on. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to bring it all together to but her testimony is now in doubt in regards to that bruise that she saw, because how could she have seen it if she wasn't basically in the vicinity? Is basically the value of this cross-examination. If you can hear the motorcycle sound, apologies. People are like that here. Anyway, let's move on to the next witness. He goes by the name of Marlon Sutton. He was the respondent to the DV call that was placed in regards to the incidents that happened between Christopher and Melissa, which led to them getting a protection order. Let's listen to this. He explained what would happen if someone was to get a protection order, and that is usually given because someone is living in fear or had basically said that they are fearful, and he gave testimony that he was the one to be on the scene that day, and he testified to seeing injuries on her back, arms, and the leg.
To your recollection, this would have been the only time you would respond to that location. Is that also correct?
To my recollection, it is.
All right. I want to turn your attention to, well, let me ask you this. Would it refresh your recollection if you were to review another portion of your potential injuries you may have been observed?
I got you.
Okay. You look at that section, tell the court if you recall seeing any abrasions or indication of an attack.
All right, can we approach?
Yes.
All right, let's fast forward.
May or may not have observed any injuries on Miss Woffenbarger. Indicating whether you may or may not have observed any injuries on Miss Woffenbarger.
Yes, I observed injuries on her body.
Okay. Do you recall what parts of her body that you observed injuries on?
Yes, sir.
And what parts of those?
Her legs, I think I documented on there.
Okay.
Arms and legs, I believe. Yes.
Did you also see any injuries on her back?
Not that I recall. That's the top of my head.
You can look at this report in this section here.
Okay. Yes, sir. I see it.
So you recall documenting your report observing injuries on her arms and back?
Yes, I did.
All right. Now, if you're documenting this, are you documenting what you're observing with your own eyes?
Yes.
Was that a practice that you would do? Would you want to, or would you make it a point to actually observe any injuries that you were going to document in your report yourself?
Yes, I mean, you want to document the injury because just to see if something actually did took place. So.
Okay. That's all I have, Judge.
Thank you.
I don't get it. I've never seen Lexi. You beat me to it because Lexi the lawyer says the state is doing a terrible job with making a timeline and dates clear. Exactly, because you would think the first thing that you say is, when was these events that you responded to? When were you working on this date? I assume so. When did you respond to the call? According to my report, I responded on this day. None of that happened here. It's just you saw these injuries, yeah? That's it. We don't even know when or the location. Like, the exact location is really key here. And the reason why I say the exact location is really key here is because on cross-examination, the defense did a good job to basically get him to say it without, I don't think they even asked him.
Well, I think I wrote down that this has occurred at a different time in my report.
You first talked to Melissa.
I don't recall, but I think I wrote down that this has occurred at a different time in my report. I believe it happened at a different time.
Right. How many hours had gone by between the time you had, whatever. I'm going to ask the same question.
Yeah, I don't know because, I think I documented that this occurred at a certain date and time in my report. I don't know what I put on there, but I think I wrote it down that this happened at a certain date and a certain time. So I'm not sure how many hours it was from my memory.
Do you have a copy? Sorry. Okay. Do you mind if I give you a copy? Yes, sir. I'm going to give you.
Okay.
I'm looking for wait.
Yes.
Wait, hold up.
I don't recall.
Do you have your report with you? Officer Sutton.
Yes, sir.
So, do you have your report with you?
No, sir.
Do you remember now, or having looked at your report before you came in today, how many hours had gone by between the time of the incident, whatever it was?
Whenever.
I don't recall, but I think.
So I wanted to go back there quickly just to get the question because I went to the wrong timestamp. But essentially, the defense highlighted immediately from the jump. We don't even know whenever this incident was.
I wrote down that this has occurred at a different time in my report. I put it on there, but I think I wrote it down that this happened at a certain date and a certain time. So I'm not sure how many hours it was from my memory.
Do you have a copy? Sorry. Okay. Do you mind if I give you a copy?
I get people's memories are like.
I'm going to give you.
Let me just finish it.
I think I met her in the. Okay.
Hold up.
No.
824.
Okay.
You met
Here we go.
Melissa at her house, right?
No.
824.
Okay. I can't recall. The reason why I say that because I think I met her in the street from that where it didn't occur.
Okay.
This is why I said, why didn't you write down the location that you met her? Why didn't you write down the location of the residence where it was done? Because they said you met her at the residence. Now you're saying you met her on the street. What is going on? What is actually going on? Because if, like, where did the incident essentially happen? Because you saw injuries on her. So if you met her on the street, did he beat up on the street? Did she come out of the house to meet you? I'm trying my best to like bring it all together, but this is why, I mean, this is, it's not helping.
We have one place where the event occurs.
Right.
And then we have the residence.
Right.
Okay. By the way, you never saw Chris Wolfenbarger that night at all. You've never met him.
I don't know what he looks like.
Okay. We couldn't identify him in the courtroom today.
No.
Okay. You guess, but
I mean,
you don't know him.
I don't know him, no.
And never saw him that night.
Never saw him.
Right. And what you wrote in your report was that any injuries were minor, correct?
They appear to be minor.
Okay. I mean,
Right.
you checked a box on
Right.
the report that said
Yeah,
minor.
it appeared to be minor. It wasn't anything grave.
Right. Did you take her shirt off?
No.
Okay. And yet you wrote in your report injuries to back.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't observe those, right?
I don't know. I can't recall.
That's
Fair
a
enough.
great question because she may have told you that. That's a great question.
And your recollection is something about her legs and her arm, but you don't ever remember taking her shirt off and
No, I
examining
don't remember taking her shirt off.
or examining her like that.
Well, I saw injuries on her legs just from what I wrote down, what I saw, what I observed. I didn't take any clothes off.
Right. Okay. I'm not accusing you of anything. Was there anybody with Melissa when you were doing this interview?
I can't recall.
You
You are telling me that you arrive at the scene and you don't even write the parties that are at the scene. You don't write. If you're working in an official capacity, you always note who is your partner and who are the number of people that are at the vicinity. So at this moment, we don't even know if there was 30 people there or just him and Melissa. It's.
Do you remember another man who was at where she had been?
I don't remember that.
Don't remember anything about that?
I don't even think about another man, no.
Because
Do you know
write it down.
what was going on at 780 Brookline Street? You wrote that in your report as the incident location, right?
If I wrote it down, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it actually occurred there, and I got to see my report. I'm not sure.
Brown Mayor.
Yes.
Okay.
So I did some highlighting, and that's obviously mine, not yours.
Okay.
The incident location was a location at 780 Brooklyn.
Okay, yes,
And Chris Wolfenbarger wasn't there, right?
No,
You never saw him.
never saw him.
And where did you actually interview Ms. Wolfenbarger?
One second. Let me see. Hold on a second.
I'm not asking you what was said, just the location.
Well, I got to look and see because I know I met her on Brookline, but I don't know the exact location. Yeah.
But it wasn't her residence.
It wasn't a residence, no.
That's what it was. Oh,
And
this is so bad. I will explain why this is bad once we finish with
You also said that there was some stolen items involved. You remember that?
I remember writing it down, but I can't recall. I can't put it together now why I wrote it. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, but if your report wrote her glasses were stolen and $10 were stolen, would that be accurate?
Yeah,
you wouldn't write
because,
it down.
well, I mean, I think her purse was stolen.
Okay,
The items that may have been in her purse, I was just documenting.
okay. You want to look at your report?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I see it.
$10 was stolen, purse, and her glasses were stolen, and her purse was stolen?
Yes.
Okay, you wrote
Okay,
that
I wrote
down.
that down. Right.
Wouldn't write it down if it weren't true, right?
Right, that's what I was told.
I don't want to get into what you were told, but no medical treatment was needed, though. You checked that box, no.
No, I don't recall medical treatment.
Okay.
This is so bad. This is so hard to watch. That's basically the bulk of what I wanted. Let's go into the redirect exam to see to the key part that I thought was let's just watch.
Wouldn't have been a high priority call because there was no threats out that day. Besides call.
And also in your report, would you have documented the time that the call came in?
Yes.
And typically, when a call comes in, what is the contributing factor to when you would, when an officer would be dispatched to a call?
By the way, they still never mentioned the date. The prosecution, you would think at this point they would say the date. Maybe it was trial strategy. I was actually hoping, okay, say the day and time now, so that you can fix this mess that.
You mean a time?
Yeah, and generally, what time would an officer be dispatched to a call for when actually not?
Well, they prioritize calls. So if someone just filed a police report and there's no immediate threat, it's going to be downgraded. Okay. So it's hard to say, depending on how busy the calls are that day.
All right. And so when this call came in about a potential domestic violence incident, where would that have been in terms of calls and priorities?
Well, it wouldn't have been a high priority call because there was no threat there at the time.
Okay. All right. Now, do you recall and we were talking about the July 21st, 1998 incident. You recall that date? Do you recall the time that you received the call?
No, I don't recall off the top of my head. I don't.
Okay. Do you recall the time that the actual call came in?
No, I have to see what's documented.
Okay. If you could review your report.
Okay.
And tell the court if you can recall both of those times.
Okay. The time I received the call?
Yes.
Okay. You want the dates or just the times?
Just the date and the time.
Okay. Okay. I got a call on, it looks to be, I'm trying to read my writing, it looks to be July 21st, 1998 at around 8 p.m.
Okay.
Maybe that's 8:01 p.m. I'm not sure. Like maybe 8:01 p.m. 2100 hours.
And that would have been the time you say you received the call?
Right. That's the time I received the call. Yes.
All right. And what would have been the time that you would have responded?
Let's see. Hold on one second.
This is why I had to let you watch it. Wait for it.
I don't know the exact time I got there on the scene. That's the time I got the call though, so I don't know what time I actually arrived.
Okay.
That's the time I got the call, so it could have been anywhere between, I would say 10 to 15 minutes after I got the call before I got there on the scene.
Okay, that would have been an average time that it would have taken you to respond.
Right, to drive over there, probably about 10 to 15 minutes.
All right. At that time, did you have the name of the individual that would have been the offender?
When I got the call?
Yes.
No, not when I got the call. All
right. Did you have, at that time, did you have an understanding of who the potential offender was to the victim, like the relationship between the two? Did you have an understanding of that?
Objection.
Do you want to rephrase? If you can.
Okay. Did you know the relationship between the two parties?
I object, Your Honor.
Overruled.
What was your answer?
No, I didn't know.
All right. And did you know who upon responding, did you know who the victim was?
Upon responding, yes, I did.
And who was that?
I don't know her name, to be honest with you. I can look at the report and give you the name I wrote on there.
I'm sorry?
I can look at the police report and give you the name of the victim that's on the police report. I can give you that. You would like me to read the name of the report? I can give you that. You have the victim name?
Yeah, did you document that victim's name?
Yes, I did.
What is that name?
It's Melissa Wolfenbarger. I pronounce it right.
I'm going to. This wasn't the best redirect. I'm not gonna lie. This redirect just made things worse, simply because of the fact that I'm going to forgive him for not knowing the victim's name. That happens because it's years ago. It's 25 years. I don't hold that against him. But the fact that he couldn't even read his handwriting on the time that he has to guess when it happened is just stupidly bad form. Not only that, when you go back to the cross-examination and realize that not only did you have, well, maybe they were not able to get into it for pretrial reasons or whatever. Maybe that was the case, that he couldn't say who the other person, what that they were calling for prior bad acts. Guessing that's the case. But even with that, you now have on your report, you could have said there was this person here on the report. You could have said she is reporting that there was violence against her, she said. But the fact that he doesn't have all of this information, nor the date of the incident, you now don't know whether this is the DV incident that he is reporting, whether this is an actual DV incident, or whether it was a burglary. Because she said in his report that things were stolen. And you would believe, at least, like, I mean, they may not be able to get into if he wrote down names of the person that you know that had happened, or gathered more information. I'm pretty sure there would have been questions asked that would have allowed him to at least testify to what happened that night, rather than try to get to the truth of the matter, basically. So to overcome that hearsay barrier, because I'm guessing that the objection that was had when they were trying to say that the call was regarding, you know, they can't get into that because that's going to the truth. But I know exactly what happening from what I understand. But the fact that his report was not detailed enough to close the window is now in the jury's heads that this could have just been a burglary, and he was the one that mistook it for a domestic violence incident because someone may have told him wrongly or something like that. This is why I'm like, I get it. DV is a big thing, but this is the reason why I'm like, you should hold the people that are prosecuting these things to a much higher standard, because this is why, at least one of the reasons, I'm not going to say that this is the only reasons, but at least one of the reasons why these cases not only doesn't make it to court, but when it does, they don't win. This is why you see that stupid graphic. I call it stupid because it shows a lot of people that are victims that don't get to court, and then only 3 or so or something like that make it to court. I want to debunk that video one day. I want to debunk that graphic that goes around one day. But in real time, you are seeing how that process fails, and is never the defense attorneys. Never. In my opinion, it doesn't involve them, because they are there to show that their client could not have done this for whatever reason. They are there to protect the rights of the client. It is the prosecution that handles the main meat of the case. They have to bring a case to show that, yeah, we have cleared this bar called reasonable doubt out of the water based on the evidence that we have. And if you're rocking into court with this type of evidence, it is why some of those cases fail horribly. And she could have been a victim because there was a temporary order. Now, what I do know about that temporary order is, when we get to Norma's testimony, is they spoke about that temporary order, and I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. But now the jury has in their minds that order, that when I'm gonna get into it. Let me not get ahead of myself. But we heard testimony. from Stephen O'Hare, who was the arresting officer of Chris. I'm not gonna go into his testimony much because it was just the apprehension of Chris from his house. Apparently, he was hiding when they were looking for him. So yeah, so I don't have much thoughts on the video except the jury might just infer that these guys did not do a proper job in entering the house because they only said once. They never said it in the video. They never said it in the video. We are the police. We are the police. They try to circumvent all of that by essentially going in and saying that we said it before the video and we just don't say it every single time that we're walking in there. But there were numerous times in which they could have said it at least going into the front door. They could have said we are the police. That may have put Chris at ease. But now people might think, especially after that cross examination, because they highlighted that Chris had given himself to police custody, even given DNA samples, hair samples, even pubic hair samples, all of those things to the police that even he wasn't aware of. So how could you have now made a testimony that he was hiding from you when you didn't even give him adequate warning to let him know that it wasn't an intruder looking for him? So that was the bulk of his testimony, but I do want to get to Norma Patton's testimony. And this is the mother of Melissa, and she basically gave background testimony to when her and Melissa met. They met when they were young in high school, and they've been married since high school. But we're gonna go through the documents that basically outline, that basically give a more accurate outline of the case as presented by the state. She testified also that that when she kept running, she decided that when she kept running away to go and be with Chris, this was before they got married. That when she kept running away to be with kids, to be with Chris, that she used to report her as a runaway, and she kept reporting her as a runaway when she kept doing it, and because she kept on doing it, she decided to put her on birth control. I thought that was wild, but this was a different time, 1998. I never thought that parents would force birth control on. Well, it sounded forced anyway, but that's neither here or there. But she put her on birth control, and she also testified that she came in one day and she was basically pregnant, and she had children by Christopher. She testified that the last time that she saw Chris was in November 1998, and while they were out on break, there was an argument to basically stop letters that was written, essentially letters and birthday cards that was written to the family from coming in, because the prosecution never actually gave them sufficient notice. So the judge had allowed the ruling to come in, that they can use and send these and basically introduce these letters to the witness as long as they give him a week's notice, which the judge accepted and thought that the county would have given him the week's notice. But we got to find out today that the DA did not actually give it to the defense to give them time to prepare in that week. They actually gave it to them yesterday, literally yesterday. So they only had it for a day. The judge obviously kept the ruling, so I'm not gonna go through the whole argument. But this is just another example of just how this DA is just, I don't know what they're doing. I literally don't know, but it just seems to me that they know that this is a weak case, and they're trying their hardest to handicap the defense. They didn't really go through cross-examination, but we are going to go through some parts of her testimony. Let's get to that now. And this is when she gave testimony in regards to the court proceedings for the temporary restraining order. So that testimony, they come in, well, not temporary restraining order, temporary protective order that was, so this event was happening around the time of July 1998. Let me get the accurate timestamp. Here we go.
Well, just before we went to lunch, just today, okay?
Okay.
You remember being in court with your daughter?
I remember being in court, yes.
Do you remember your daughter speaking with the defendant after talking with the judge?
Yes.
And do you recall the case being dismissed after that?
I wasn't clear on the case being dismissed.
Okay.
All I was really aware of is that I left the courthouse alone. Melissa did not leave the courthouse with me.
Okay, all right. And that was on that 29th date, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. All right.
So on the 29th, they were in the courthouse, 29th of July 1998. They were in the courthouse. And
you were
and she left alone, but Melissa stayed behind to speak with Chris.
talking about that July incident. At any point, did you go either pick Melissa up after that incident occurred?
No, sir.
How did you come into contact with Melissa after that July incident?
I didn't come into contact with Melissa after that July 29th. I turned the kids over to Kathy. Melissa was not with her when I gave the kids to Kathy. And
okay. Now, you talked about seeing Melissa somewhere around 4 or 5 times during the year, on average during the year. Is that correct?
yes,
And would Melissa reach out to you and Carl Patton in the form of either calls or letters?
it was usually just her coming to the house.
What do you mean by that?
So the reason why I want to stop here is because all of that happened and there was no foundation. You can go back and watch it live. There was no foundation to set when they even had this talk for a protective order. This is the protective order that all thanks to let me kind of enlarge it so that you guys can see. Is that better? Hopefully that's better. Is that better? All right. So this is the protective order. What I really wish he would have done was just to say when was the court original hearing or something like that. Refresh our memory and get the timeline down for the 22nd of July, because they were in court in regards to this, and it was a few days before this whole incident. So it wasn't just a one-time thing in which, and this is why it's really important to get that timeline down, because it wasn't just something where they were all in court one day and then Melissa gave testimony and then decide that same day I am going to spoke to Chris that same day, then goes to the judge and withdraws. It didn't happen like that, at least from what I'm guessing here, because of this order that was granted. This was on the 22nd. On the 29th, 9 o'clock. It says here the foregoing complaint. The foregoing complaint has on that day, on the 29th of July, 9 o'clock. So the main point I want to make from that is, if he at least opened the days up and split it up, she would have been able to testify to exactly when these guys were talking, and shown that they were likely talking before this whole thing, which would have been a breach of the protection order. That's what I'm noticing here. If you're trying to win this case, at least I mean, that's what I mean. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. These guys are professionals. I don't know anything. I just thought it would have been interesting to put it like that. Did you see these guys communicating beforehand? All of those things, because that would have been a breach of the protection order that was in place before going into court, because it was only a temporary one, and based on I think they would have got a permanent. I think this particular court hearing would have been to see whether it would have been enhanced into a full protection order, from my understanding. But that's the new law, so I don't know if back then it worked the same. So I'll give grace to that, but at least but that's what I'm trying to essentially argue. But with Melissa speaking to her and speaking to a judge, trying to get the case dismissed, of course it does help with their theory of the case, which was she was a victim and she would do those things to basically not get him in trouble. But like I said, if they had split the dates up, it would have seemed like he wasn't abiding by the order. Maybe just maybe he wasn't allowed to bring up the dates for when the order was issued. I have no idea. Maybe he would bring that up and at another date. But like I said, I'm not a lawyer. She also gave testimony in regards to the cards that Melissa would send on her birthday, etc., and how she would always call on notable days like Christmas, all of those things, Christmas, birthdays, etc. She said that she knew that something was wrong because she didn't call on Christmas 2018 and she didn't call on her birthday, so they really felt that something was wrong on that day. And there was a message that there was a message that there was a message that she received, an email anyway. Let me put it like that. So they read out the cards, and all of that. I personally didn't see how that made a difference in regards to the cards that she received. It's not like, I don't know. I didn't really know how that moved the needle much, but I did think that this part was interesting because to me it kind of shows the coercive aspect of that relationship. And this was from the letter that was written to her by Melissa about the transfer of custody to Chris's mother, Kathy Wolfenbarger.
But Kimberly and I get along pretty good. Every time she hears her mom say something about me, she sticks up for me and tells me about it. I remember telling that Kathy said that she wishes me and Chris would move away. Kimberly says to her that if we moved, we would take Chrissy with us. Kathy said no, she won't either. And Kimberly, she is their daughter. Then Kathy said, no, she isn't. If someone said that about you, you would get mad. So did I. I told Chris, and Chris got mad. When Kathy asked to take Chrissy off, Chris said no. She better be here when I get back. Kathy got mad, and I laughed.
Oh.
And your conversation that you had with Melissa, was it your impression that Melissa wanted to turn her children over to Kathy Rock?
No.
Was it your impression that Melissa wanted to permanently give up her custody of her children to Kathy Wolfenbarger?
No.
So I apologize for not sharing the screen. I hope you guys were able to hear what she said. Did you guys actually hear what she said? I'm happy to go back if you guys didn't hear what she said, because I forgot to share the screen back from the restraining order that from the protective order that I showed earlier. But essentially, it was the letter that she received that basically said that Chris would be mad if she didn't give the kids to Kathy, and she was basically expressing, at least according to how she saw it, she was basically expressing that she wants the kids to be with her. So you didn't hear anything. Okay, let me go back so that we can play one more time. I do apologize for that. Let me just play it one more time.
But Kimberly and I get along pretty good. Every time she hears her mom say something about me, she sticks up for me and tells me about it. I remember telling that Kathy said that she wishes me and Chris would move away. Kimberly says to her that if we moved, we would take Chrissy with us. Kathy said, no, she won't either. And Kimberly, she is their daughter. Then Kathy said, no, she isn't. If someone said that about you, you would get mad. So did I. I told Chris, and Chris got mad. When Kathy asked to take Chrissy off, Chris said no. She better be here when I get back. Kathy got mad, and I laughed.
Now, based on that letter and your conversation that you had with Melissa, was it your impression that Melissa wanted to turn her children over to Kathy Walker?
No.
Was it your impression that Melissa wanted to permanently give up her custody of her children to Kathy Wolfenbarger?
No.
Everything that I heard in that email, oh, okay, cool. Let me turn my volume up. Okay. So everything that I heard in that, not email, sorry. Everything that I heard in that particular letter to their mom is that Chris will get mad, Chris will get mad, Chris will get mad, Kathy will get mad. So it suggests, in my opinion, it basically suggests that she was at this. It could suggest, and I'm guessing that the expert is going to give testimony in regards to this. That is going to suggest control, and likely what he or she, not sure who the expert is going to be, but what they're likely going to testify to is the possibility that there was triangulation going on in the relationship. So essentially what Chris would do is tell people around the family to not like her, basically. So that's the gist of what I understood from the letter, hearing it, irrespective of the mom's opinions or interpretations about the letter. But let me just, so that's the bulk of the testimony from Norma Patton. That the direct exam is still going on. The court ended early today. I don't know exactly why they ended early, if I'm being honest. It was, oh no, I do know. It was because there was a juror that had an appointment, so they'll be back tomorrow, so they had to end early for that juror. So the direct exam is still continuing. So before it ended, before the direct ended, the state highlighted that the criminal case that involved Carl Patton, that she basically testified against him. So it showed that she is at least credible and she's able to tell the truth on the stand also, or be honest. So that's why I think that they offered that testimony, at least to get ahead as well of what the defense is inevitably going to bring up, and that's the fact that she signed an immunity deal to basically give that testimony. I'm going to now go into the background of the case to correct a lot of what I said. But before I do that, let's look at the witness list, because there is a lot more witnesses to come. I think Tina is next, Christina Garrett, and so based on this, they are going to likely present the interviews from from 2023 or 2021 when Chris was in police custody. They're also going to they're also going to introduce the investigator back then that we've heard of, Calhoun, and a lot of this seems like going back to we have already heard from Marlon Sutton. So a lot of this is probably going to go back to what happened in regards to the arrest that Melissa had in regards to the investigation back then. I have no idea, but that's the witnesses that we have. So this case, in my opinion, could literally change. There is so much respect, and even though I do believe that the prosecution are shooting themselves in the foot, because I really do believe that they're not really helping their case in any way. Even with that, they still have a lot more witnesses that could change this case. It could literally change. It could literally change the perception of this case. I don't think that these first 2 days are encouraging. I don't know how it would play out over time, because the jurors might forget depending on just the testimonies that's going to come out. Some shocking testimony might come out that might compel Chris to take the stand, and it changes from there. So even if we are dealing now with these poor reports that we have seen, that independent reports would help the memory, and now we're seeing that some of the independent reports that have been written are not as reliable as the memory that of the person. Is just wild. So before we sign off, let's look at the case background once again for those that may not know or may have seen articles being written about this particular case. At least here you are seeing what is in the court documents, and let me just share that screen with you so that you guys can see. So it says here, on April 29, 1999, a severed decomposing head, later identified as belonging to Melissa Wolfenbarger, was found in a plastic bag in the roadway at 858 Avon Avenue. On June 3rd, 1999, pieces of a dismembered body were found in garbage bags in the wooded area of east of Hartford Avenue, between Hartford Place and Avon Place. At this time, parts of human legs were found, but no torso was ever located. During the autopsy, the medical examiner determined that the head appeared to have been removed with a saw. The cause of death was determined to be a homicide. Melissa Wolfenbarger's husband, Christopher Wolfenbarger, was formally accused of committing simple battery against his wife on July 21st, 1998. Melissa applied for protective order against Christopher. In the application of the protective order, Melissa details the abuse she endured at the hands of the plus 6 defendants. The case was in Fulton County State Court. However, the case was placed on the dead docket on March 15, 1999. That's this case, the murder case, due to the prosecution not being able to locate the victim. Ms. Wolfenbarger's mother, Norma Patton, reported her missing to Henry County Police Department in January of 2000, after she had not seen or heard from her in over a year. Law enforcement investigated Wolfenbarger as a primary suspect in his wife's murder. Initially, when interviewed, Christopher stated that he and Melissa split up, that he never reported her missing. At the time of her disappearance, Christopher was employed by Action Glass, where he worked from October of 1998 until February 11th, 1999. The remains of his wife's body were located directly across the street from Action Glass location where he worked. It should also be noted that Christopher asked the owners of Action Glass to borrow a saw should be on to borrow a saw on February of 1999, just a month prior to Melissa's remains being located. During his interview with law enforcement, Christopher stated that he and Melissa were married since age 17. Further, he stated that they have 2 children that live with his mother, and that he and Melissa had temporarily separated since 1998. Christopher stated that he had last seen Melissa in March or April 1999. He said he picked her up and drove to Taco Bell, where they talked about their relationship. He then dropped her off at the train station. Additionally, he said that he never reported her missing because he thought she just moved on with her life. He also stated that she was dating someone named Mike at the Waffle House where she worked. The mother of Melissa Wolfenbarger, Nora Patton, was also interviewed. Ms. Patton stated that she last saw Melissa in September or November of 1998 when Melissa was incarcerated at the Fulton County jail. Witness Don Pirone stated that he knew both Christopher and Melissa, and that Christopher was known to be abusive. Kimberly Cameron, Christopher Wolfenbarger's sister, stated that she knew that Christopher and Melissa had problems. Kimberly also stated that Melissa wrote her letter prior to her disappearance, saying that she was leaving Christopher. That the daughter of Melissa and Christopher Wolfenbarger, Christina Wolfenbarger, was interviewed and said that she recalled her father stating that he could get away with murder. During a follow-up interview with Christina Wolfenbarger, she details suspicious activity on the part of Christopher Wolfenbarger's around the time of her mother's disappearance. Christina recalled growing up with her mother and father. She remembers the point in time when her mother disappeared. According to Christina, it was almost the day that her mother went missing when she noticed that the pictures of her mother were taken down in the residence. She also recalled her father making suspicious statements throughout her childhood as well. In particular, Christopher Wolfenbarger would tell her that he knew how to get away with murder. He said the key is to hide the body parts. Lastly, Christopher would also tell Christina that he had a place to go when he needed to go on the run. Interesting. Can they live up to this? During the trial of this case, the state intends to so they do intend to introduce a certified copy of the protective order. But this was what they basically stated around the statements regarding Christopher Wolfenbarger. So like I said, we have to wait to see what comes out in trial, but that's the overall background based on what the state thinks and what they're going to present. Overall thoughts, like I said, if reading that background does not reinforce that there might be something here that we have to wait for, it does seem extremely circumstantial, and because he's a defendant, they might just bring it in because it's his statements. So I see the judge possibly bringing that in, unless he chooses to testify. Then they might I don't know. No, that doesn't sound like how it works. I just caught myself. No, they will have to rule separately, but they might bring it in through the family members that he made the statements to, basically. So yeah, so that's how they might bring the statements in. But essentially, my mind will always remain open, innocent until proven guilty. So let's wait and see what the state presents. Before I do sign off, make sure that I'm going to put the official stream up, but I have lawyer Joshua Schiff. He's been on this channel before. We spoke about the Diddy trial and the verdict. We are going to speak again about the Nicholas Kassotis trial because I have so much question. He was representing one of Epstein's victims when they brought the cases against him. So he knows a thing or two in regarding to criminal cases and civil trial. So I would love to pick his mind in regards to just what goes through someone's mind when they're defending a client. I want to get his opinions on the prosecution job and the job they did. I want to get his opinion on how the defense was done. You know, I want to see what he says, because I can't get over that trial. I keep thinking about it. I'm sorry. I still can't believe I actually saw a man go up there and literally tell someone that this guy wasn't an FBI, but yet he continues to provide them security. I never thought someone could lie to that magnitude. I'm sorry. I know I keep going back to it, but I'm sorry. I just never thought I would see someone lie that badly. But anyway, so that interview is for Sunday, same time as always, 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'm looking forward to it. I will announce it. Should be on Saturday. I will post it out. But yeah, I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in and, you know, for this catch up. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll be back for one of these catch ups on Monday when they're back in court. So we will definitely be back giving this recap. We always give recaps here for the cases I cover. I will always endeavor to let you guys know the next case I cover before, so that you guys know that I will be giving the live recaps. So definitely pin in your calendars for this Sunday for that interview. I go by the name of Hines, your friendly neighborhood ketchup man. Thank you ever so much for tuning in to this video. I have to sign off. See you guys later. Have a great weekend, and hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Bye for now. Thank you everyone for tuning in for another Catch Up Court live stream. Make sure that you smash that like button as well as hitting that subscribe button to be notified of our future live streams. We go live regularly, bringing you case updates and recaps of ongoing trials, so make sure you hurry back on the next live stream. We also have more content on the channel that you can binge on. Check out the playlist that we have showcasing all of these contents. Without further, I go by the name of Hines, your friendly neighborhood ketchup man, and I'll see you back in court.